New data out of China overnight shed some light on the health of the world's second largest economy, just as tensions with the U.S. are flaring up. And we're also getting a report this morning that the U.S. and China trade reps are set to speak by phone as soon as next week. Eunice Yoon joins us now from Beijing. When I saw exports were up, I was actually happy, Eunice. I guess, this happened to China a while ago, and, we want things to improve there for a lot of reasons, for the global economy and just to show that you can rebound from this. So I don't take it as, I'm happy. Not everyone is, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. I think the question, though, is whether or not it's sustainable. And I think there are more people who think it's not sustainable than it is. So sorry for the bad news. But anyway, running through the numbers, the exports did rise by 3.5%. The expectation was that we were going to see a drop of 15.7%. A lot of this is because the factories were trying to make up lost ground from the first quarter after the coronavirus shock. Another reason is that there was very high demand for medical supplies, including masks. For example, the daily export value of products like masks jumped by 3 times. China was also able to benefit because as the factories here were reopening, factories in other parts of the world were shutting down because of the virus. So the factories here were able to pick up some of that business. Now, the imports were lower by 14%, a lot lower than people had expected because of sluggish domestic demand, weak commodity prices, and also a quarter of imports go into exported goods. A lot of those are components that are re-exported. So because the global demand picture looks pretty weak right now because of all the lockdowns, people are worried now that these numbers that we saw, this big rise in exports, and any demand here in China is actually going to remain lackluster. Now, what was also interesting is that what I want to call your attention to is there was a response, and there's a growing narrative in the Chinese state press in response to President Trump saying that maybe in a week or two, the administration would be able to say whether or not China has been adhering to the trade deal. Joe, as Joe had mentioned, there have been some reports that the U.S. and China trade negotiators are going to be meeting as early as next week. And in the state press, the Global Times has been pointing out that China is sticking by the trade deal. They came up with a couple points saying that China has announced several rounds of tariff exemptions for U.S. goods, that China has bought 1.1 million tons of U.S. soybeans in March and April, despite the cheaper South American prices, that the trade deal includes a clause for force majeure. So natural disaster, you could maybe rethink this trade deal, and China has not chosen to exercise that or discuss that just yet. So that's China's narrative that we're starting to see in the state press. What was also interesting is that there's been some finger pointing to the United States, saying that if this falls apart, it would be the U.S.'s fault because the U.S. is the one that's launching all these attacks, launching attacks on China. Also, these new tariff threats could upend the deal. And so, again, I think what we're seeing is China trying to present itself as the responsible statesman, as opposed to what they are suggesting, that the U.S. is the one that's the reckless trading partner.